Are you able to record? I can't find my record.
Sure, I can do
Hmm.
it. And we're streaming, so we are now recording to the cloud.
Okay, welcome everybody. We had some technical difficulties and I had to switch from my desktop to my laptop, but uh, we made it. So thank you for joining us, those who are on our Zoom platform and also watching us stream live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We're talking about a specific construction topic, caulking versus sealants. Most people aren't aware of the difference, but we're going to talk about that today and see how much information we can share with you. Um, maybe this is Martin Pea, Lance Luke. Part of our presentation webinars, Ask the Building Expert. Sorry, my mouse is acting like a rat this morning. Doesn't seem to want to participate or cooperate. I don't know why, but anyway, basically, caulking is a flexible material used to seal joints or seams in various construction building materials to prevent air or water or dust getting into whatever you're trying to seal. And then the sealant is similar to caulking, but it's designed for more durability, flexibility, typically used to protect against environmental elements and prevent moisture or air infiltration. So the main difference is um, elasticity. Sealants are more flexible and resistant to movement. Caulking is less elastic and may crack over time in dynamic areas. For instance, um, painting the exterior of a building or your house, you have caulking in between your joints, your window frame to your siding, or your trim to your siding. And over time, it gets kind of worn out. It gets a lot of sun, rain, humidity, and all that, and it starts cracking. When it gets old, it gets hard and cracks. When it cracks, you got these open areas where water can get in. And so that's why it's very important on a painting project to make sure the caulking is done. So when you repaint, don't just paint over the caulking, old caulking. You want to check, have your contractor check if your caulking is still in good condition, then you can leave it or you can caulk over it. If it's bad, you remove all the caulking and then you apply new caulking. The problem I see is a lot of people think it's in good shape and then they just, paint over it and then it cracks more and now you have a more serious issue. The sealants last longer, they're durable, have a longer lifespan, they're more flexible, and they're more resistant to harsh conditions than caulking. So importance of in building maintenance durability, like I mentioned before, you want to prevent structural damages, prevent water infiltration. It's not only air that gets in, but water, moisture could be a problem. If you have wood, drywall, or even concrete, if water gets into the concrete, it starts corroding the rebar. The other thing is energy efficiency, seal gaps So you reduce air coming in. And when you do that, you improve the energy efficiency by maintaining indoor temperature. If it's super hot and you're running your air conditioner, if there's a lot of cracks on the exterior, warm air can get in, and vice versa with cold air, right? If it's winter time and you want to be warm, but you have a lot of open areas on the exterior, cold air gets in and it takes longer to heat up the place. During sunny days when it's hot, your air conditioner is going to be running a lot a lot more just to get the air cool because you have hot air coming inside. So we want to reduce the gaps. Also, the caulking and sealant keeps the buildings looking clean, well maintained. You want to don't have cracks visible and so forth. So there's a lot of information on the slides, and normally I don't really combine a lot of text and stuff on slides, but this one has a lot more. So what I'm going to do is have it available on our website, the PowerPoint, and you can download it, make a copy, or read it. And we're also going to put the video recording of the webinar on our website too. I'll give you the website link later at the end. I know there's a lot of reading to do, and I don't want to read everything, but there's different types of caulking. There's acrylic latex, there's silicone, there's rubber, and there's different benefits, limitations, applications. For instance, latex caulk is paintable, easy to apply. Um, they're not that flexible, and it's primarily used for interior joints, windows, and doors. Silicone, as you know, it's best for kitchens, bathrooms, any area exposed to moisture. You don't paint it. It's difficult to paint. Okay, and then the rubber butyl um, is mainly used for a lot of commercial applications or exterior when you're sealing metal roofs, gutters, chimneys, and those kind of building components. So difference in the unique properties of sealants. There's polyurethane, silicone, and epoxy. Polyurethane, strong, flexible, resistant to UV rays. You can use it outdoors. Um, Commonly used in expansion joints, concrete repairs, exterior. Silicone, used for glass, tile areas exposed to weather and water. High resistant to temperature variations. And then epoxy, it's normally used for heavy duty industrial applications where strength is critical, such as structural bonding, for instance, locations such as parking decks and exterior commercial buildings. Choosing the right product, caulking versus sealants. Indoor bathrooms, you would use silicone sealants for moisture protection. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's white. You want to go for the product that has a uh, mildew resistant product built into it, so that if you don't have a lot of ventilation or light in your bathroom, it's kind of dark, there's a tendency to have mildew and mold growing on the silicone. So make sure you look at the best product for the job. Concrete joints to accommodate expansion and contraction. You use polyurethane sealant. Windows, you can use acrylic latex caulk indoors and silicone for outdoors. This is just a rule of thumb now. It's not exact. You got to double check with your contractor and building supplier. Garage floors and driveways, you use epoxy sealants for heavy duty repairs and to fill cracks in the concrete. And then kitchen and backsplash countertops use silicone sealant, protect water, oil, and water from splashing in between your countertop and backsplash joints and going down into your cabinets. There's good benefits of selecting the correct product, long lasting if you use the right product, enhanced protection, cost effective, reduce maintenance costs over time due to fewer replacements. Now, if you're a do-it-yourself person, which Martin, likes to be, and sometimes he doesn't ask me for advice, he just goes for it. Then later on, he asks me, I need your advice on this. The caulking is coming off. And I said, well, did you follow the directions? He said, oh, the fine print was too small. So he just followed what he did the last time. Oh, when was the last time he did it? Oh, I think it was 8 or 10 years ago. I said, well, okay, well, no wonder your caulking is falling apart. So briefly, caulking comes in these tubes that look like big toothpaste kind of tubes. And there's a caulking gun for, big applications. If it's small, you don't use a caulking gun. They sell smaller tubes that you can use. But um, let's talk about, if you're going to do it yourself, the surface prep, make sure you clean the area. If you're removing the old caulking, you got to make sure that you remove every bit of it. And then there's all this fine dust. You got to remove all that too, because if you leave it on, the new caulking is not gonna stick. Okay, so um, surface prep, apply primer if needed. If you're using the big caulking tubes, you load the caulk or sealant tube into the caulking gun, and then you apply the caulk or sealant. Now, here's something. The tip of the caulking gun is normally plastic, and they have all these lines. And so don't cut the tip off yet until you verify the width of the crack that you're gonna caulk. Because if you cut the tip and it's too small, you're not going to get enough caulk. If you cut it and it's too big, now you got a too big of an area and it's going to get sloppy. So let's say you apply the caulk and then you have to smooth and shape the bead. And how do you do that? Well, there's tools you can use. In the old days, people used their fingers. I still use my fingers because I'm used to that. Um, and then sometimes you would mask the area. You would tape it with masking tape, painter's tape before you apply the caulking. But be sure that um, the caulking dried, it cured before you take the tape off. Or if you use duct tape, it's too strong, and then when you remove the tape, the caulking is going to come with it. So there's a technique. It gets kind of technical sometimes, and that's why I normally don't do my own caulking. If it's like minor caulking, exterior windows or bathroom tile, I can do it myself. But it may not be a professional looking job as if a professional contractor did it, but it's good enough. So you go to the hardware store, home and garden store, and buy what you need. You might want to ask the worker, you know, tell them, oh, here's the application. I'm using it for my tub tile, or I'm gonna caulk the exterior window of my house, and I have it's painted, and I don't know what kind of caulking to use. What kind do you recommend? So they can help you if you can. if you go to the big box stores, sometimes you have to go walk around and try and hunt somebody down. Um, and it gets hard. A lot of times they're working or they're moving equipment and you can't interrupt them. If you go to the smaller hardware stores, there's more people available to help, I guess. So I mean there's a difference. Okay, so some small tips to avoid common mistakes during application. You don't want to apply too much. Excess material can create a mess and weaken the bond. Got to be careful, almost like a artist, a craftsman. Check expiration dates. So if you use caulking 10 years ago and you saved it and you want to use it again, you take out the tube and you look for it and see if there's an expiration date, or sometimes you can't even open the cover because it just got stuck, glued on. But if you're doing a job now and you look and it says, oh, 2019, you think, that's not too far off. But then when you try to use it, the thing is all stuck inside the tube, right? So just spend some money and go buy a new one. Use the right product for the right surface, the proper surface. So you want to make sure that it's compatible. So in other words, you don't want to use uh, silicone caulking that you use for um, your bathroom tile on the exterior of your house. That might not be the right application, and it's not going to work properly. Common issues to recognize signs of failure. So you walk around your house, inside, outside. You look to see if things are still intact. You look for cracking, peeling, shrinkage, poor adhesion, staining, um, signs of failure, visible cracks, peeling, gaps, or you kind of get your finger and try to, poke it a little. And if it's dusty and it starts cracking and falling apart, then, that's a red flag that it's old already. Okay. Solutions for repair and prevention, regular inspections, high quality materials, and reapply as needed. Be like Martin. He walks around his house inspecting a lot of things, and he wants to make sure he maintains his investment. Okay, not wait too long and wait till things start falling apart. If you if you hear now, this has nothing to do with caulking or sealant, but if you hear unusual sounds like your automatic garage door, okay, so you might want to take a look and see what's going on and not think that maybe it's a loose screw or something like that, right? Because you don't really know what it is, especially if you can't see it. But if it's a weird sound, wouldn't that be like a heads up, like, oh, it doesn't seem right, better have it checked out. Best practices for maintenance, routine maintenance, practices for longevity, clean. Don't on the exterior of your house, if you need to clean it, by all means, remove the dirt debris. That'll help the paint, help the caulking. Check for cracks. Small cracks can develop into bigger cracks. If you have a two-story house, right, or you live in a 40-story building, you can't inspect the cracks on the second or third floor or even higher. It's hard. So that's why you got to call in contractors with ladders and all that. Recommendations for timely replacements. Uh, there's cycles for every building material. Maybe recaulk every 3 to 5 years. Um, Monitor high traffic areas. Like people use the kitchen a lot, right? So the countertop caulking may need to be checked more frequently because it gets more use. those kind of high traffic areas. If you have an area that's exposed to the weather a lot, trade winds or rain, you want to inspect that side of the house more often and look for uh, failures or areas that need attention. Because in some areas, you have one side of the house that gets blasted with a lot of rain or a lot of sun, and another side of the house gets um, not too much of that. So you might want to paint that side that gets the most exposure more often, or at least double check. So I kind of went through briefly um, the information. So let me just kind of do a recap, right? A fast recap of what I just mentioned. You choose the right materials for lasting results and building maintenance. Caulking is usually more flexible sealing joints. Sealants are used for more durability, flexibility used in commercial property. There's key differences, like I mentioned. Um, if you're like a property manager or on the board of a condo uh, for a condo association, you make sure that you talk to your contractor. And usually when we're working on spalling and painting projects, we engage the services of a professional painting company, a painting rep such as Sherwin-Williams, and we have them uh, write out the specifications for painting as well as caulking and sealants and waterproofing. So you want to choose the right product for the job. Bathrooms, silicone sealant, concrete joints, you want to use polyurethane sealants, windows, doors, acrylic, latex, caulking, garage and driveways, epoxy sealant. Talk to your contractor, see what the best product is. And then kitchen and backsplashes, use the silicone sealant. Uh, but choosing the correct product can ensure long-lasting results. You want the protection, cost effectiveness, and good repair and maintenance. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. Let's see what else I have here. So we did a whole bunch of webinars for like the past 3 years on almost everything to do with buildings and construction, roofing, concrete spalling, cast iron drain pipes, uh, asphalt, and it's all available on our website. And then what's coming up? Let me see. I thought I printed a schedule here. Um, we're going to talk about at the next webinar electrical inspections, why it's required. Um, a lot of people, a lot of commercial buildings, including condominium buildings, hotels, shopping centers, office buildings, apartment buildings, they're not getting their required electrical inspection. So I'll be talking about that, pros and cons. Um, After that, I'm doing one on how not to be a slumlord if you have rental property or you're a property manager. After that, talking about what an expert witness does, and then painting versus waterproofing, venting, lead pipes. I got one on cesspools that I'm giving, cesspools in Hawaii, and interesting one on concrete crisis and coastal erosion. And pretty much through June, and then after that, reading and understanding soil reports. I'll be talking about the Florida building collapse update, what happens after a flood. And I got one on the Eiffel Tower. When I was in Paris, I checked out the Eiffel Tower because it's like you go when you travel, you want to go to these landmarks, right? In each country. So when you think of France or Paris, you think of the Eiffel Tower, which is good, but um, there's problems. The Eiffel Tower is made out of steel and it's rusting, and I'm going to be doing a webinar about that. So that's what's coming up. Stay tuned for those, or go on our website. Um, we have a lot of blogs on different subjects that you can read. It's all on our website. Previous webinars we've given, that's on our website as well. Oh, there's a bunch of books too on our website that you can check out. And then, the LA fires are top of mind. So I'm going to probably be doing a webinar talking about that. Not sure when, but just stay tuned. So you got questions, we got answers. I don't know. Let me see if I have another slide here. Go back to this one. So here's our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site. And it has our previous webinars on demand you can watch. And it has our PowerPoints that you can download. It has a bunch of books available. It's like super jam-packed building site. Anything on construction or buildings, check it out. And if you see something that's not there, let us know, because we take pride in providing the free information to everybody to help the cause. AskBuildingExpert.now.site. Go to it, because every day we're putting more information. So we're pretty proud of that website. So we get to the point now where there could be questions or comments from the audience. So we welcome audience members, whoever is listening in. If you're on Zoom, that's fine. You can post your question or comments on the Q&A or chat. If you're on the various social media, you can post it on the social media platform that you're on. If we don't get to it today, we'll be sure to answer it in the next several days. So I'm going to turn it over to Martin and see if he has any comments or questions from anybody.
Let me unmute myself here. And first, a comment. Thanks for sharing me as your example, because most of the mistakes I've made because I didn't follow your example, and especially this one. I think most homeowners use, do a lot of their own caulking and that kind of stuff. And based on experience, I've used the wrong one for the wrong thing. So it's you've got good information here, and yeah, it's something. If they save this the webinar PDF, it's going to be a great guide for when you're needing to use the right caulking or sealing for your jobs around the house, which most homeowners got to do sometimes. So I appreciate you sharing this. So
Oh, that's good, because I can use you as bad examples sometimes. So it's
yeah,
helpful.
you're always welcome to do that. Okay, we get some good questions here. So let me ask you the first one, because I'm finding them very interesting. The first one that came in was, is there a specific type of caulk or sealant that works best for historic or older buildings, where materials may be more fragile or unique? And I think that's such a good question, considering all the historic sites we have in the islands and around the globe. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good one. I would say use specialized caulking materials that are compatible with the original building construction or building materials and designed to preserve the architectural integrity. Um, I'm not the expert, so on that specific issue, so I would say check with the project architect or professionals that are um, versed in working on historic uh, properties, and then also make sure you use experienced contractors. Now, I could give an example. Um, the uh, that church that burnt in the fire, Notre Dame, they cannot use just regular building materials. They have to do a lot of research to see what they're going to use because in some cases, uh, the church was built, hundreds of years ago, and in some sections of the church, they use like logs or timber. Like you cut a tree and you use that whole tree basically, without the branches, but huge logs. So it's not like, you know, they can go to that location and go to their local Home Depot, and say, I need to buy 500 logs, right? So it's I don't know if I studied how they repaired the cathedral, and they have to actually go and look at forests that had the same type of trees and especially log that type of lumber to use. So um, you may, in situations where historic property, you may not be able to get the exact uh, type of material. In fact, in some cases, you don't want to use the exact material. You can't use the exact material because it's in violation of the law. For instance, uh, um, historic property, there's paint that had lead in it, and you can't use that today. Or they use building materials such as drywall plaster or mastic for your floor tile, and it was asbestos containing. Some of the roofing material uh, had asbestos in it. So you got to be aware of the environmental concerns, the hazmat conditions, and find the appropriate, substitute building material. But um, I because I don't work primarily on historic properties, I can't really say exactly what kind of product to use, but I would recommend that you check with your project architect because on historic properties, the architect has to specify the building materials, and you would need to go back to the architect if you can't find one that was specified and ask him or her, okay, we want to substitute because we can't find XYZ product. So can we use this ABC product? And he would have to either do more research on it or tell you, I don't know. Get me all the material. I want to see the material data sheets. I want to see as much information as you can so I can conduct my research and let you know yes or no if it's approved. So yeah, that's it.
Mm. Well, that's a good answer. Thank you, Lance.
Sure.
Um, this next one is kind of technical because I'm not sure exactly what it's saying, but are there eco-friendly or low VOC, which is volatile organic compound caulking and sealant options available? And there's a second part to this, and do they perform as well as traditional products? Do you know
Yeah,
what
you're
that is?
right. It gets kind of technical, but the VOC stands for volatile organic compound, and when you hear the term low VOC, that means that it's safer. Um, and the VOC is in all kind of building products, including paint, and sometimes the high VOC, like waterproofing a parking deck, uh, it's not safe to breathe, that the material that they're putting down. And I can tell you in one situation where we're working on a parking deck of a condominium building, and it was right next to a school, uh, elementary school. We had to change the product we're using to a low VOC so that it wouldn't have all this offensive odors because we're doing the work when school is in session. And so 5 years later, when we have to redo the parking deck, we waited. I said, let's wait until summer when school's out and do the work then. But then we decided still to use the low VOC product, which is more expensive. Okay, so basically, uh, it does perform as well as traditional products. What you look for is when you go buy it or talk to a contractor, you tell them we want low VOC, we want non-toxic as much as possible. And if you're going to do it yourself, you look for the label uh, that's green in color. And a lot of times the non-toxic or low toxic or low VOC products have some color, green color in the packaging. Or if it's a tube, you can see green rather than red, orange, or any other colors. So some brand names are ASI or GE. There's other names, but when you go to buy it, if you're gonna do it yourself, make sure you talk to the workers at the store and with your list and tell them what you want and read the packaging. If it doesn't say non-toxic or doesn't say low VOC, but it's green, it may be misleading. Okay. So some companies say, well, we're going to put a little green stripe on our packaging so people would think it's low VOC, but it's really not. So, just read, just like when you go shopping at the grocery store, if you do read the product labels and look, it's all there. And I get food myself, right? When I go and I want to buy drinks and it says they come up with these names like, you know, most healthy drink or uh, not soda or these names are confusing. So I buy it, right? And go, wow, this thing's pretty good. But then you look at the label and it says 65%, sugar content. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, this doesn't match with the name of the product. So the name of the product can be deceiving, right? So I forget offhand what the exact name was, but it was the name had to do with uh, you know a healthy drink or some kind of low calorie, low sugar, but in fact it wasn't. In fact, I didn't know that like these sweet teas that you can buy and even root beer. Try check the sugar content. It's way over 50%. And so you think you're buying some kind of healthy drink, but it may not be. Well, root beer is not that healthy anyway. So um, I found out that water is the best thing to drink, provided that there's no contaminants in it or anything like that. So anyway, I'm deviating away from the subject, but what other questions do we have?
Um, let's see. Oh, I just kind of had a question. So related to the one on the volatile, the toxic type of sealants and caulking, are most generally kind of toxic? I guess that's maybe my clarification on
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because most of these building products are toxic,
Mm.
from caulking, sealing, paint. Um, you don't want to be breathing that too much. And there's labels. There's even for each product, if you want to do research, there's uh, what's called a material data sheet. And if you research it, it'll tell you what's in it and how hazardous it is. I mean, here's a red flag. If you look and it says, don't breathe this product, or
Yeah.
be careful when you apply it, use gloves. These are all red flags, even if it says low VOC. So even a low VOC can still be dangerous, and it's also poisonous too. So there's different ways to handle different kind of products, but just because there's a green label on it, that doesn't mean it's not hazardous. A lot of building products are hazardous, and you just gotta be careful. Read the labels, do your research, read the instructions on how to apply it, and how to clean up, after. So
Mm.
it, you
Okay,
know,
good.
it's even like you're gonna mix a little concrete, right? You think it's an easy thing, but you don't just put water in it and mix it with your hand, because it's toxic. There's a lot of acid in it, on it can burn your skin. So
Mm.
um, it's interesting. Take time to read the label. In fact, small concrete bags, when you think it's not toxic, read the label, and I mean, there's huge warning signs. And of course, these companies have to put it for liability, because if somebody gets hurt, injured, and the building product manufacturer didn't specify how to use it, and there's a lawsuit, they're the ones that are going to be guilty, because you can blame the manufacturer, saying you didn't tell us that it was a problem. So that's how all these products have all these disclaimers, these labels on it. It's almost like in big red letters, caution, before you use this, before you open it, be sure to do this or do that. Okay, so um, uh, short story. I was fertilizing my yard the other day, and I bought Miracle Grow, where you mix in water. And I use that a lot of times. You mix it. I have a 2-gallon sprayer, so spraying around my yard. Um, I happen to read the fine print, and there's a lot of words in the fine print, and it's all caution, and they do that because they don't want to get sued later, where I didn't know I was supposed to use gloves, or not have it spray in my eyes. Some stuff is totally common sense, but still yet there has to be a disclaimer. In fact, um those big car visors that you when you park your car and it's in the sun, and you put the thing in your windshield. I
Mm.
believe it or not, I saw one, and on the back it said, "Do not drive with this product in place." I mean, it's common sense, but I guess they do that so that someone sues them, said, "Oh, well, look, you're not supposed to drive with it in place. Of course, you can't see." So, um, I don't know. Did you have a question? Or that was your question that
That
you
was,
had
yeah,
asked.
that was my add-on to the original one, just to clarify. But like you say, I mean, it's good. Use your common sense, but uh, I guess the first thing you need to do is read the labels, like you say, because I know, yeah, most of us, especially if it's a lot of fine print. But when it comes to handling these kind of things, I agree with you. Just like reading the labels of processed foods and really knowing what's inside, it's the same thing with these. So I appreciate it. That's a good clarifying uh, comment on it. Yeah.
Well, I don't even read labels. So like I'm making Simon, right? And then I just take it out and I throw everything together. That's not how you're supposed to cook it. So I read the label, right? When I'm waiting for the water to boil, like let me see what it says, right? So actually I was looking to see if it had MSG because I don't
Right.
buy and it didn't have any, but the real instructions was to boil the noodles in water first, right? And then afterwards, I guess you throw the water out and you put water in, then you add the mix. But I'm too lazy because I guess it was from being in the Boy Scouts. We just put water, throw everything in, boil it at one time. I mean, we're not when you're out camping in the wilderness, you don't want to be a chef, right? You just want to eat. So you probably had that experience too, right?
Yep. Very true. Very true. But yeah, thank you. I mean, it's like you say, just kind of be cautious, I guess. Nowadays, you got
Yeah.
to live cautiously with whether it's what you're eating or what you're working with. So, okay. And then we have, I think I have one more question here. And oh, this is an interesting one too. Yes. It's can caulking or sealants help with soundproofing in buildings? And the second part of it's kind of, if so, what type should I use?
Okay. Who's asking these? Man, they're getting
Must be somebody with
technical.
music, trying to soundproof their studio or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so before I answer, I just want to kind of give a heads up on um, the product for soundproofing. You got to see what what is the location that you're doing the caulking and what kind of materials. Because if you need to do or if the building is the area that you're caulking is a fire rated enclosure, it's a fire rated floor or wall or ceiling, then you cannot use just regular caulking. You have to use fire rated material.
Mm.
Okay, so there's what's called uh, fireproofing, or the more technical term is fire stopping. So let's say you have a wood frame townhouse, and at between the wall and the floor, there's a gap there. You can't really use regular caulking. You have to use what's called fire stopping material or fire caulking because it's fire rated, because that enclosure is a fire rated enclosure. Okay. Same way with if you're in a reinforced concrete building and you have pipes going through the walls, right? You cannot have open holes where your piping is or where your electrical conduits are. It has to be all sealed. Why? Because if one unit catches on fire and you have holes throughout the building, the smoke and flame will go in those holes. And that's why there's the requirement by building code for fire stopping all floor, wall, and ceiling penetration. So it's not really about just caulking. Um, Now for the sound, let's say it's not uh, a fire rated enclosure, then you can use what's called acoustical caulking or for sound rating. And there's terms that are used like green glue or green choice or something. But the main generic term is acoustical caulking, and that's what you look for. But you don't want to use that acoustical caulking if it's not fire rated. Uh, if the area you're caulking is a fire rated enclosure, like I mentioned. So it's best to double check and then make sure you use the fire. The fire stopping by itself is an acoustical caulk, and but it may not be. You'd have to kind of go for one that that serves a double purpose. So it gets really technical. In some cases, you may not be able to buy that, locally at the hardware store. They might not stock it. You might have to go commercial, or search it online and buy it if you're gonna do it yourself. So um, yeah, it gets really technical, but there are products available for what the person is asking, but it's not readily available. In fact, I had a situation where it was a townhouse and they had to redo some of their flooring, and they couldn't find the right product to use, that was readily available. They searched all over. The contractor looked at all these stores, and then they got back to me and said, we can't find the material that you specified. Can we use, XYZ instead? And after I reviewed the product data sheets and all that, confirmed the fire rating, I said, yeah, you can use that. So um uh and I'm talking about basically Hawaii, because we're in Hawaii. It's not like we can just drive to the next state and go pick up, a tube of properly rated fire stop caulking. So um, it's harder to get stuff in Hawaii, and it's more expensive. If you see something online, oh yeah, okay, I could buy this caulking for $20, and you go to the store and it's $30. Well, there's a difference. They have to pay for shipping the product here and stocking it, storing it, all that good stuff. So, we got any other comments or questions? I know we kind of winding down. We started a little late, but it's good to end on time.
No, I don't see any others on our social here. No, but no, it's a good session today. Help
Okay,
me for the future of doing things better.
let me stop share here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, at least it worked out. I mean, we went to plan A, B, C, D, and
Yeah.
I
Well, we
tried to
have a
get
good
my desk
recovery now. Yeah.
just stopped working. First, my video didn't work, and then no, first the audio didn't work, and then I got that working, then the video didn't work, and I'm saying, you know what? That's just default. So I whipped up my laptop. That's why you see the faded green screen in the back. But anyway, we got through it. I think it was an informative session, little technical in nature, but sometimes we need to do that, especially when there's questions. Some people didn't even know there's a difference between the two. So yeah, it's good stuff. So behalf of Martin and myself, Lance Luke, thank you for joining us. Please join us on the next webinar. If you missed this one, you can always check out the replay on our website, askbuildingexpert.com. No, askbuildingexpert.now.site. Askbuildingexpert.now.site. That's the right one. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining.